Here's a question that will break your brain. What do you call a product that completely failed at its original purpose, accidentally became associated with America's greatest technological achievement, and somehow turned that accident into one of the most successful marketing campaigns in food history? You call it Tang. Most people think Tang was created for the space program. Wrong. Tang was a failed breakfast drink that NASA happened to use because it was convenient, not because it was space-age technology. But somehow, General Foods turned this backwards coincidence into a marketing phenomenon that convinced generations of American kids they were drinking liquid science. This isn't just the story of how orange powder became a household name. It's the story of how accidental associations can become more powerful than intentional innovation, and how American marketing genius can turn failure into triumph by simply changing the narrative. What we're about to uncover is one of the most brilliantly opportunistic pivots in advertising history, and why Tang became a symbol of American space-age optimism, despite having absolutely nothing to do with space technology. The year was 1957, and Dr. William Mitchell was working in General Foods laboratories in White Plains, New York, trying to solve what seemed like a simple problem. How do you make orange juice more convenient for busy American families? Post-war America was obsessed with convenience foods. Frozen dinners, instant coffee, and powdered everything were revolutionizing how Americans ate. Fresh orange juice was delicious but perishable, expensive, and required refrigeration. Canned orange juice was better but still took up space and required mixing with water. Mitchell's solution was chemically elegant. Create a powdered drink that would taste like orange juice when mixed with water, but could be stored indefinitely at room temperature and take up minimal space. He developed a formula using artificial orange flavoring, citric acid, sugar, and various stabilizers that created a bright orange powder that dissolved completely in cold water. The result was Tang, an acronym that nobody at General Foods has ever officially explained, though it likely referred to the tangy citrus taste they were trying to replicate. The powder created a drink that was sweeter than natural orange juice, more intensely orange-flavored, and had a slightly artificial taste that was somehow both off-putting and addictive. General Foods launched Tang in 1959 with massive confidence. Their marketing positioned it as the future of breakfast beverages, more convenient than fresh juice, more consistent than frozen concentrate, and more economical than either option. Television commercials showed busy mothers serving Tang to happy families who couldn't tell the difference from real orange juice. The launch was a complete disaster. American consumers in 1959 weren't ready for artificial orange juice, no matter how convenient. The taste was obviously fake. The color was too bright. The texture was slightly chalky. Families who tried it generally didn't buy it again. Grocery stores struggled to move inventory. Within 2 years, Tang was widely considered a failed product that would likely be discontinued. General Foods had invested millions in development and marketing, and they were looking at a major loss. Tang was sitting in warehouses, gathering dust, while company executives tried to figure out what went wrong. Then, in 1962, something completely unrelated happened that would save Tang and transform it into an American icon. NASA was facing a practical problem with the Mercury space program. Astronauts needed to stay hydrated during missions, but the spacecraft's water system produced water that tasted metallic and unpleasant. Drinking plain water from the onboard systems was difficult and unappetizing, which created real risks for astronaut health during longer missions. NASA nutritionists needed a flavoring agent that would mask the metallic taste, dissolve completely in the spacecraft's water system, provide some nutritional value, and remain stable in the extreme conditions of spaceflight. They tested various options and found that Tang worked perfectly for their needs. Tang wasn't chosen because it was high-tech or space-age. It was chosen because it was practical. The powder dissolved completely, the flavor was strong enough to mask water taste, it provided vitamin C, and it wouldn't spoil or create maintenance issues for spacecraft systems. When astronaut John Glenn orbited Earth in February 1962, he drank Tang during his mission. This was a minor practical detail in one of the most significant achievements in American history. NASA mentioned it briefly in mission reports. A few news outlets noted that astronauts drank powdered orange juice in space. General Foods' marketing team saw those news reports and recognized the opportunity of a lifetime. Almost immediately, General Foods began repositioning Tang not as a convenient breakfast drink, but advanced space technology that ordinary families could enjoy at home. The marketing transformation was swift and brilliant. Television commercials in 1962 and 1963 began featuring the tagline, "Tang, the drink of astronauts." Print advertisements showed families drinking Tang, while images of rockets and astronauts filled the background. The message was clear. This wasn't just orange-flavored powder. This was the same advanced nutrition technology that kept America's heroes alive in space. The campaign worked beyond General Foods' wildest expectations. Suddenly, Tang wasn't artificial and weird. It was scientific and sophisticated. Children who had rejected it as fake orange juice now demanded the astronaut drink. Parents who had dismissed it as a failed convenience food now saw it as participation in America's space program. Sales exploded almost overnight. By 1964, Tang had become one of General Foods' most successful products. By 1965, it was available in grocery stores nationwide and had become a standard household item for millions of American families. The genius of the campaign was that it completely reframed Tang's limitations as advantages. The artificial taste wasn't a flaw. It was advanced food science. The bright orange color wasn't unnatural. It was space-age technology. The powdered format wasn't cheap. It was the same system trusted by NASA. General Foods had accidentally discovered that association marketing could be more powerful than product marketing. They weren't selling orange drink anymore. They were selling participation in American technological supremacy. The cultural impact of Tang in the 1960s and 70s was extraordinary. For children growing up during the height of the space program, Tang became synonymous with science, progress, and the future. Drinking Tang made kids feel like they were part of the space program, even if they were just having breakfast. This generational adoption was crucial to Tang's success. Children who associated Tang with astronauts and space exploration became loyal consumers who continued buying it as adults. Parents who wanted to encourage their children's interest in science and technology saw Tang as an educational tool disguised as a beverage. Regional variations emerged as Tang spread across the country. Some families mixed it stronger for more intense flavor. Others added it to recipes for orange-flavored desserts and treats. Southern families discovered that Tang made excellent punch when mixed with other ingredients. The powder's versatility became part of its appeal. International expansion followed American success. General Foods began marketing Tang globally, using similar space program associations where possible and adapting the formula to local taste preferences where necessary. Tang became one of America's most successful food exports, though it remained most popular in countries with strong cultural connections to the American space program. The Tang recipe culture that emerged in American kitchens was fascinating. Cookbooks from the 1960s and 70s include dozens of recipes using Tang as an ingredient in everything from cakes to glazes to frozen desserts. The powder's intense flavor and artificial nature made it useful for applications where fresh orange juice wouldn't work. By the 1970s, Tang had achieved something remarkable. It had become both a nostalgic childhood memory and a contemporary household staple simultaneously. Parents served it because they remembered drinking it as kids. Kids demanded it because it made them feel connected to space exploration and scientific achievement. Tang's association with American STEM, or science, technology, engineering, and mathematics education culture, became particularly important during the Cold War era. Science teachers used Tang in classroom experiments about nutrition, chemistry, and space exploration. School cafeterias served Tang as part of lunch programs. The drink became educational shorthand for space-age thinking and scientific progress. The science fair generation of American students grew up associating Tang with intelligence, innovation, and future-oriented thinking. Drinking Tang wasn't just consuming a beverage, it was participating in American technological culture. This educational association helped Tang survive changing food trends and health consciousness movements that killed other artificial products. Parents might eliminate other processed foods from their households, but Tang maintained its educational and cultural value that transcended pure nutrition concerns. Today, Tang occupies a unique position in American food culture. Sales have declined significantly from their 1970s peak, as consumers have moved toward more natural beverages and fresh alternatives. But Tang persists as both a nostalgic product and an international success story. The international Tang market has actually grown while the American market has contracted. Countries like India, Brazil, and Mexico have embraced Tang enthusiastically, often with local flavor variations that reflect regional preferences. These markets appreciate Tang's convenience and intense flavor without the cultural baggage that comes with American space program nostalgia. In America, Tang has become a cultural touchstone and internet meme. References to Tang appear in movies, television shows, and social media as shorthand for 1960s optimism, artificial food culture, or space program nostalgia. Younger Americans who never drank Tang regularly still recognize it as a symbol of a particular era in American history. The craft beverage movement has largely ignored Tang, focusing instead on fresh, natural, and artisanal alternatives to processed drinks. But Tang's artificial nature, which once seemed like a liability, now feels almost charmingly retro in an era of increasingly sophisticated food technology. Food historians recognize Tang as a masterpiece of accidental marketing success. Dr. Laura Shapiro, who studies American food culture, explains it this way. Tang succeeded because it stopped trying to be orange juice and started being something uniquely American. Optimism and technology in powdered form. Tang's persistence in American culture reflects something deeper than product loyalty. It represents a specific moment when Americans believed that technology could improve everything, including basic nutrition. Tang embodied the space-age optimism that defined American culture during the Cold War era. Modern marketing experts study the Tang campaign as an example of how external associations can completely transform product perception. General Foods didn't change Tang's formula or improve its taste. They simply changed the story they told about what Tang represented. So what's the real story of Tang? It's the story of how American marketing genius turned a failed breakfast drink into a symbol of technological achievement by recognizing an accidental opportunity and exploiting it brilliantly. Tang wasn't created for space exploration, but it became inseparable from America's space program and popular culture. It wasn't advanced technology, but it represented technological optimism to millions of families. It wasn't particularly nutritious, but it symbolized scientific progress in modern living. Tang succeeded because it accidentally became associated with America's greatest technological triumph, and General Foods was smart enough to recognize that accident as opportunity. In a decade when Americans wanted to believe that science could solve every problem and technology could improve every aspect of life, Tang offered tangible participation in that optimistic vision. Every time a child drank Tang, they were drinking liquid space-age optimism. Every time a family served Tang, they were celebrating American technological superiority. It was marketing genius disguised as orange-flavored powder, and it worked perfectly. Tang's legacy isn't really about artificial orange drink. It's about how association marketing can create cultural phenomena that outlast their original purpose. Long after the space program moved beyond Tang, the brand remained connected to American innovation and scientific achievement. That's the power of narrative transformation. Tang became famous not for what it was, but for what it represented. And sometimes, what something represents is more powerful than what it actually is.